you guys are ready, because I don't want to have a long pause after we bring in Craig. It doesn't matter because I can edit it, but it's just nice to bring in the audio and we just start immediately, you know?
Well, I just love like your honest questioning of, is Craig here?
I do. Oh, that one.
He's no call, no show so many times, you know? I mean, like, only twice.
The thing is, only twice, but he's actually not even in the Discord, right? It's not that he's offline. He's not even in the Discord when he no call, no shows. So we can actually check if he's around.
Yeah.
But welcome in, everybody. It's me, Johnny. I've got DJD and Farmer.
Howdy.
What's up, everybody?
And chilling in the booth, he is here. The one, the only, Craig. So, guys, the right off the bat, there's something I want to talk about, but I don't want to talk about it. We're just going to acknowledge it, and then there's something D needs to acknowledge, and we're going to move on. Okay? So I don't want to see it in the comments. You know, keep it clean out there, everybody. Okay? Yes, all three of us. I mean, maybe four of us. Craig, if you want to let us know, we watched the first United States presidential debate between Joe Biden and Donald Trump, and that was pretty rough. That's it. That's the whole conversation. That was pretty rough. We don't want to make this a politics podcast, but man,
not till later.
Not till later, right?
That'll be another podcast. Actually, that'll just be like a.
There were two things that I thought were funny. I'm just gonna say these quotes. Quote number one, when Joe Biden was like, "We beat Medicare," and then Trump was like, "Yeah, you beat it. You beat it to death." Dude, I actually laughed out loud. That was pretty funny. It doesn't matter how you feel about that. That was actually pretty good. And then two, at one point during the thing, Biden was like, "My son's not a loser. You're a loser." And I was like, oh my God, what am I watching right now? It was awesome. Anyway, moving on. D, would you like to cover the thing that you want to cover?
I mean, just stay safe out there. You know, like, I mean, Twitch is watching. Report people who are, you know, being inappropriate and all that jazz.
Listen, I'm going to give all of our listeners a little legal advice. Never confess to a crime publicly, unless you're like getting some kind of deal or something. Just don't do it. Don't confess. Don't be like, yeah, I did that. Don't confess to something that's illegal. Okay, be a little bit smart, please. This is actually really quick before we move on. So this is what Japanese police do. So they can keep you here, and when Japanese police, they arrest people after they have like whatever evidence they feel comfortable with, and then what they do is they force a confession. So like that's how they get all of their convictions. I think it's like more than 90% like are forced into confessing, like kind of a deal. And they just like keep you, and they like really put a lot of pressure on you until you're like, yeah, I did it. Right. And I was like, that would not work in the United States. People will be in holding forever, and they'll be like, nope, that's not me. You got a video of me doing it? That's not me. I don't know who that is. I don't know what that is. No, I've never done it. I didn't do it. And I was, like deep fake, right? Like it's wild. But all of that to say, don't confess to the crime, everyone. But advice. Man, we've had a really, it's just great advice, right? We've had a really dark intro here. The first 5 minutes have been pretty rough. And let's just keep going. Farm, would you like to start with your bone that you wanted to pick last week?
Yeah. So you guys were kind of on the fandom and Star Wars and all that. So my bone to pick is kind of like in the same vein. And it kind of something we kind of touched on, I guess probably a little bit a few weeks ago, but it really has to do with prejudging like games that haven't even come out, or like that haven't even been like developed all the way yet. But like you know, you've seen a little blip, but people want to like go ahead and make accusations about how they think it's going to go, and you know, they want to start hating it right off the bat. And
broken at launch.
Yeah, right? Exactly.
Broken
at
launch.
You know, I'm just tired of people you know, just making all these judgments without actually playing the game or waiting. Give it some time. And I get the whole thing. Well, okay, maybe they shouldn't have shown the trailer like 6 years ago. And it's still not out. We have the whole
15 years ago, maybe sometimes. You show a trailer.
Or sometimes 15 years. We got the whole Final Fantasy or Johnny's favorite.
Don't say it. Don't say it.
Kingdom
Where
Hearts
is
3.
Kingdom Hearts 4, actually?
Kingdom Hearts 4.
I'm going to be an old man when Kingdom Hearts 4 comes out.
20 years later.
If it comes out next year, I'm going to be calling you old next year, just so you know.
Kingdom Hearts 4 will come out when Winds of Winter comes out. The next Song of Ice and Fire. But anyway, go ahead, Farm.
Yeah, no, that's the biggest thing. It's just like, I'm just tired of scrolling through any social media and just like, can you just really, just, I guess people just feel like it's more like emotional. Like they just like as soon as they feel it, they need to express it instead of like thinking a little bit. Who does that? Who does that?
Well,
why don't we just say what we're
judgment.
feeling at the moment?
Right, the snap judgments of like, oh, I saw this, so that makes this, right?
Exactly.
Well, snap judgments based on emotion too, right? As opposed to like any kind of like actual facts.
Right, and it's all the people wearing it on the end of their sleeve, like just doing it right then. I think maybe that's something that social media has just like kind of driven us all to do, like just kind of get in that mindset of like, oh, okay, what am I feeling right now? Well, I should let the whole world know. Well, maybe, but maybe think about it, a little bit first, and maybe not cancel something that could be something amazing.
Well, so far in 2024, there hasn't been a game that's taken that, right? Like every year there's a game that like launches and like to getting canceled, right? Like it's canceled, like even before it launches, people are hating on it. And last year, it's a really easy one. It was Hogwarts Legacy. Right, the hated on game that no one played yet because of the source material and all of that stuff.
Right. But
also to bring up something near and dear to David's heart, I mean, that's what happened to Anthem.
Yeah.
Right. They released I remember playing that game, and anytime you mentioned I've been playing Anthem, everyone would be like, "You're playing that game? I heard that game sucked," and we would say the same thing. Did you play it? Nope.
Right, exactly. And it goes back to that prejudgment. Well, I heard, I saw, or I read that it's bad, so it must be bad.
Right.
But there's an interesting thing here because Anthem really needed a big player base. I wonder now if Anthem had released exactly the same way, but with Game Pass and was put on Game Pass, if it would have been able to continue.
Like,
because one of the big things that was the most frustrating for Anthem, right, is you buy a $60 game because that's how much it was costing at the time, right? And for it to not have as much promise, I understand people being upset about it. And while Game Pass itself isn't free, it is a subscription service, right? And so people, if they were playing it because they have Game Pass, maybe they wouldn't have felt that way. I mean, what do you think, D?
I think the problem with Anthem is the problem that actually Suicide Squad has as well. Where these games are like, obviously they're critically like, pretty looked down upon, right? And then obviously people prejudge them. But I think one of the other issues is that they're touted as these games as a service that are going to stick around for a really long time. And then like, if they don't have enough content to keep them alive, like to keep things interesting and like make it fun, as it continues on, then like that leaves a sour taste in people's mouths. And I think deservedly so. Like, actually, this was kind of on my topic list where like, I wonder sometimes if games as a service is actually like legitimately killing story games, because like even Destiny, which I love, does a really bad job at onboarding new players because it's a continually evolving world. And I think that MMOs have an interesting like model where you can start at the very beginning and play through all that content, right? It exists in perpetuity, usually. so that you can have that initial experience. But I think a lot
I
of
like
these
that
games
word,
as a
in
service,
perpetuity. I like that.
yeah.
I know David bringing up the dictionary here. He's got it open right now. Okay, guys.
I always think of that. There's a clip in Game of Thrones where Daenerys is like, "Your family swore to serve mine in perpetuity," and what does that mean, Mr. Lannister? And Tyrion's like, "Forever." Anyway, sorry. Continue.
But I think like the current games as a service model isn't the MMO model. It's very much just forcing people to jump in wherever that game happens to be at that moment in time. And well, sometimes there's a base story that you can play through to get to the games as a service part. I feel like usually the game is designed, or at least at the very end, to help support that game as a service model, which ends up meaning that the conclusion of the story is never the end of the story, right?
Yeah, and they feel like they usually just want to give you like little crumbs when it comes to like MMOs.
Well,
like
and that's
that.
the problem. Like, yeah, like I think a really good game as a service model would be one that actually does offer like a lot of content, like a lot of story that like significantly like, you know, adds to the lore and to the like actual gameplay and all of that. And I think that in general, it's really hard to sustain that. And that takes a lot of effort and resources. And so most companies don't even try, right?
It would have to be like
Bungie, you know?
Yeah, that would have to be like a small mini series, like on a TV show, if they could figure out how to do that. But it would have to be higher quality, less episodic kind of game storytelling. And that could work. I could see that, but I totally agree with you when you go to like saying like story driven games aren't high priority as much, and that's. I mean, for myself, for like the games that I play, and David and Johnny, we've kind of talked about this before as well. Like these live service games that we play, we don't get much time to play single player games, and so that like we aren't experiencing these other games that we could, or these other stories that we could, because we're kind of
too busy getting wrecked in Apex.
Yeah, exactly. We're caught in the grind. We got to get the grind. We got to get that next thing. We got to get that next level. And while I love the grind, I'm also ready for some new experiences.
Right.
Again.
Well, like for me, I said this in a Nav chat, or like in a Nav meeting, and Daniel was like, "I did warn you." I'm like, y'all didn't warn me about this Steam summer sale. Y'all did not warn me about. I mean,
Steam sales.
Everything's on, but man, I bought a bunch of stuff, right? But also a lot of what I bought was. I'm waiting for Chiho to stop talking. Hold on. There we go. Okay, so I bought a lot of single player stuff because most of what I play, just like what you said, Farm. I'm spending all of this money on games. I have all of these games. I have these great, literally award-winning narratives that I can play, right? And I'm just loading up Apex for free and playing it, and like playing it with my son and such. And that's what I keep coming back to. I've got a minute, I'll just play a game of Apex, And I think part of it is I feel I'll play Apex, I'll play Cult of the Lamb, because those games I don't feel bad piecemealing it, right? 20 minutes here, 30 minutes here, an hour here, right? Like, because it's just like, hey, I'm not missing anything important. I'm not super into it, right? But like, it's hard for me to load up God of War and just play for 20 minutes.
Well, you just can't. You really can't.
Final Fantasy VII Remake, right? But all of the new games I bought are actually all single player. And I want to utilize... Ambitious. Well, I want to utilize the Steam Deck more in that way of like, while I'm out and about, while I don't have an internet connection, I can play something nice. So we'll see if I do, but like, no, exactly. Like, but I'm still just playing Apex. I'm still playing Fortnite,
Yep. Trapped in a loop. I think that needs to be on a shirt. Are you trapped in a loop?
Yeah. Are you stuck? No, for real. Well, and it's funny because they're free games, right? But speaking of Fortnite, my son has started playing Fortnite like literally yesterday. has started playing Fortnite with his cousin in America. And it's really heartwarming for me to see, because, you know, they feel like they should be close because they're like the same age. They're born the same year. But we moved to Japan when like my son was 18 months old. And so like realistically, they've only spent like 4 weeks together, like in their like 11-year lives, right? They've spent 4 weeks together. And so to see them playing Fortnite is actually really happy. I'm happy to see them do some stuff together. I hope it helps their relationship. But here's an interesting thing. So my in-laws, they're like an anti-media household. Maybe people know people like this. You know, they didn't get a TV till my wife was 10. You know, they are anti-computer, anti-social media, even though they're on social media all the time. Anti-video games, right? It was a home of all girls. And so, like, video games are for boys.
Let me get this correct. So, social media is okay, but video games or movies and everything is not.
Well, video games were for boys, not for girls.
Oh.
But all of my sister-in-laws married guys who play games because it's like the most common hobby, right? But both of my brother-in-laws play on PlayStation, which now that doesn't matter so much. Right. But when we moved, it's literally been 10 years since I moved here to Japan. Mm-hmm. It really mattered 10 years ago that I was playing on Xbox and they're playing on PlayStation, you know? And, you know, I never wanted to get a PlayStation just to play with them. And then, you know, also, I mean, we've all experienced this. It's a little hard to get into people's gaming communities. Even if people are welcoming, like I feel like us here at Anav are super welcoming, but it can be hard when you've got a group of people who know each other and have been doing stuff for a while. It can be really intimidating to try to join something like that. Even though, like I said, I feel like for Anav, we're very welcoming and like even excited when people are around, but it's still just hard to see 3 or 6 people talking and stuff and having a history and trying to get into that. Right?
Yeah, no, I totally get what you're saying because like when you've already had like all these hours of like gameplay, you're calling back to all this stuff that's, you know, happened in the past, and you're cutting up, and you're like, how do you fit into that when, you know, you don't have that experience? It's really hard, and it's like, I mean, like if you're going to a new place or you're meeting new people out and about outside of gaming community, but just like, you know, anywhere new you go, you're gonna find that, and it's an awkward stage. But I mean, I guess you have to embrace it at some point if you want to get out there.
That reminds me that I recently started watching I started watching it as a background thing, and then I ended up like wanting to actually watch it, so I ended up not finishing it. But I just started watching the Mean Girls musical that just came out recently. I actually really liked it. I did not know it was a musical going in, so that was a pleasant surprise. But I only watched like the first like 15, 20 minutes or whatever, like the first 20, 30 minutes. And there was a scene kind of like based on the original Mean Girls where like she's walking into the cafeteria and everything. And there's all these groups like, you know, that are already established, and like she's just not sure where to sit. Right. And I think that's a pretty normal human thing. Like I remember having a similar like quandary when I was like going to a new high school where everybody already knew each other and already had their cliques and stuff, you know, like, I mean, like,
right.
You want to be included, but you also don't want to be rejected. Right.
No, totally. And it's interesting. So with my brother-in-law, this one specifically, I have 2 brother-in-laws. This one, I don't know what he plays, right? Because he plays on PlayStation. I play on Xbox, and we've never in like, you know, both of us being married into this family, we've never crossed over gaming very much. I know he plays Battlefield. Like I remember he was playing Battlefield 1 back in the day.
Oh, well, see, that says a lot right there, you know.
Yeah. It was interesting to find out that my nephew plays Fortnite. So Johnny on his Switch has been playing Fortnite with his cousin who's been playing on the family has a PS5. So he's playing on the PS5, Johnny's playing on the Switch. And I came across an interesting limitation on the Switch that is also on my Steam Deck. So what they're doing, how they're talking to each other is my nephew is using my sister-in-law's phone, and he's FaceTiming me or my wife or my son. My son has an iPad, so he FaceTimes him, and they talk on FaceTime while they're playing the game. That's how they're doing it.
Interesting.
But my nephew keeps bringing up, well, we could just use game chat because the PlayStation 5 has a microphone in the controller, which sounds like a nightmare. Like that's the microphone he uses in his controller. So, and I don't know, is the game chat coming through the speakers? Is it also coming through the controller? I don't know. I don't play on PlayStation. Can do both.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does volume through the controller and a small
Let me tell you though, the number of times that I forget to mute that controller, and then like noise comes from it, like freak out.
Yeah, that sounds insane to me.
It's interesting, but I just don't think it would be great quality for actually chatting.
But that's the microphone he's going to use. He says that's what he uses. That's when he plays with his friends, his other friends. Yeah. That's what he uses. He just uses the controller.
That doesn't mean it's great.
What? Yeah. And so I bought little Johnny like a kid's Bluetooth headphones deal, right? Just to see if he takes care of it, right? Like just a super cheap, like literally made for children Bluetooth headphones. He does not. It's not that he doesn't take care of it, but he just doesn't use it. Like he never puts it on. Well, and then he likes to put it on, but one of the reasons he doesn't put it on is because then like he turns it up so loud that he can't hear us when we're calling him or talking to him and stuff, right? So this is all a problem. But also the Switch and the Steam Deck both don't like accept Bluetooth microphones.
Huh.
So on the Steam Deck, there's a built-in microphone, so I can use Bluetooth headphones, and then the microphone is actually the built-in microphone on the Steam Deck itself, picking up my voice talking. But the Switch does not have a built-in microphone. So basically, if you have Bluetooth headphones, that's it. It's just monitoring. There's no way to talk to people that way. That just seems like a really weird limitation.
Yeah, I agree.
That
doesn't make sense to me.
It's funny you mentioned the whole part of him turning it up so loud that he can't hear anybody, because I actually literally had Enoch in here the other night, and he got playing with a kid, a friend of mine, his kid, and they were going at it, but he must have had the volume up so loud because by the time he was getting into it and they were in the action and everything, he was yelling so loud. I was on the phone and I'm like, you need to be quiet, kind of like, hey, you need to, can you hear me at all? Turn it down. And he's just like, just yelling. And I'm like, hey, you can talk normal when you're using a headset. Did you know that?
Yeah,
you don't have to yell like he's across the hall because that's exactly what he was doing. And he literally could not hear me a lick. And I went to the other side of the house and it's just like I was right there. So we had to talk about that for a little bit. Like, hey, when you have a headset, it's just like, if you have headphones on for like mowing, just because you can't hear everything doesn't mean we can't hear you.
Yeah, you can just talk normally, little man. Jeez.
Exactly.
Yeah. I don't understand why that's a limitation. I really don't. I feel like, especially on the Steam Deck, I feel like the Steam Deck running off of Linux or whatever, like, would easily be able to handle like a Bluetooth input without like it being too much of a problem. Like, I can see Nintendo being cagey about it because Nintendo's cagey about just about everything. But I mean, like, yeah, that's just such a weird limitation to allow for Bluetooth output, but not input.
But also, doesn't the Xbox still, even with the Series, not take Bluetooth?
Correct. Yeah. Both Xbox and PlayStation technically do not take Bluetooth. Yeah. I think PlayStation uses a version of Bluetooth for their controllers, but I think it's like a proprietary. It's similar to the way that Xbox uses, like, what is it called? Xbox Access, I think, or something like that. Or like whatever their connection protocol is. Yeah.
The reason they don't use it,
it's not great.
From what I've heard,
would be my assumption.
Yeah, Bluetooth is an inferior service opposed to this Access. Well,
it's like
in some ways of using it that they were, going to.
It's like when I tell people,
I would say sure, like 3.0, like or earlier, right? But we're on Bluetooth, like what, like 6 now or something like that. Like I feel like the latency has gotten
We're
a lot
catching up
better,
to,
if nothing else.
to iPhones. Yeah, we're getting up there. We're almost to iPhones.
But also Bluetooth audio doesn't sound great, but I am kind of like, if you're using Bluetooth audio, I feel like you probably don't care. As a mixing engineer, just a heads up to everybody, if you want to sound really nice, like in a Zoom call or something, and you use Bluetooth headphones, actually what you can do is have just the audio go to your headphones and actually use the built-in microphone on your computer. If you have like a laptop or something, the audio will sound much nicer, especially because there's not going to be a lot of ambient audio of like other people talking. That does sound nicer. I will admit Bluetooth audio doesn't sound great, but even still, how is it not an option? You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
How can you not just even choose it?
Because, well, you think about this. If you have some form of entertainment system or anything like that that has Bluetooth capabilities for like surround sound, or even just like some quick connect for something else, you could easily like have your sound over in the corner or move it around. All these different devices that you can connect to for like sound output. It would just be kind of cool to like experiment.
It
just
really
to
would
have
be.
the functionality of it.
Yeah.
So I ordered a headset for my son, a pretty cheap one. I ordered, what are they? Some Turtle Beaches, I think. But they only cover one ear. Do you guys remember? I used to use these when I was playing Xbox as well. Like,
hey, you got to start there, okay? Everybody knows
you
that.
only cover one ear so that Johnny will still hear what's going on in the house.
Man, that's actually a really good
that.
idea. I need to just cut off the other ear on the other headset I've got.
For real. And
or just
I
take
loved
up
it.
one of your old, like, those like wireless Xbox ones that like just go on one ear.
The really
even, like,
uncomfortable
actual, like,
ones that get in there, and they're like,
Yeah.
after a while, you can't feel your ear anymore.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, those. Because that would also like limit your son's like ability to like play for long periods of time.
Yeah, he's like, oh, my ear. Oh, I can't.
There's a price to pay for everything, kid. Yeah.
This is
so life lessons along with playing games. This is a life lesson.
This is a Turtle Beach Recon Chat headset, and so it only covers one ear, and it has the microphone, and it has like the strap over your head. So I ordered that. It should come tomorrow. And I'm hoping, it's good for him to play games with his hold on. Oh, I just got a text message. Oh. A friend of mine is coming to visit Japan.
Hey.
And he's texting me his itinerary. Hold on. Interesting. He's flying to Toronto first and then over. We'll see. Anyway. Anyway, hey guys, if you guys want to come visit me in Japan, hit me up. The Japanese yen is at a 30-year low to the dollar, at 160 yen to the dollar. And for reference, if you think of 1 yen like 1 cent, which is what it was. So when I moved here, it was like 103 yen to the dollar. So basically an even conversion, 100 yen, $1, which is how much things cost around here too. That's pretty normal. It's 160 yen to the dollar right now. So you're getting an extra 60 cents. So if you ever wanted to come to Japan, now is a great time. And also what makes it a great time is that Japan is like totally over tourismed right now. And there's tons of people here because of that. And they're spending money.
Of it. Yeah.
I've heard they love it. They love the tourism.
Oh yeah, they love the tourism. They love like the people acting crazy.
I mean, who wouldn't want that? A bunch of random people from foreign country come acting crazy in your hometown.
So maybe it's an unpopular opinion, but like to me, Japan is the third largest economy in the world, behind China and the United States. And they're used to being a big deal and stuff, right? But I'm like, listen, beggars can't be choosers, right? Y'all can't be like, please come here and spend your money because we need help. We need economic help. We need tourists to come here and spend money so that it can keep our economy going and keep stuff afloat. You can't be like that and then also be like, but we don't want you to be here and act like that. And I'm like, listen, these people don't spend all of this money to come here and spend all of this money in your businesses to not get the picture. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They came all the way over here
to have the picture
because they want to get this picture. You got to let them get the picture, or don't ask them to come and spend their hard-earned money in your country. You know what I mean? I don't know. It's
fair.
so.
Yeah.
I think that's.
I
so
mean,
fair.
easily cut out the advertising. I mean, come on. Why are you in brochures and all the other stuff globally?
Beggars can't be choosers, Japan. Listen, if you need the money, then take the money. Like, but then like it's ridiculous. I mean, could you imagine if like in the United States they were like, you guys can't take any pictures in Times Square anymore. Foreign people aren't allowed to Times Square anymore because we don't like how you guys are acting. Like, it's ridiculous.
Well, they got that portal now, so you can see Dublin from Times Square or whatever. So that's neat.
Is that still up? I thought that got taken down.
No, they stopped using it for a little bit, but I think it's back up and running now. Yeah.
I think that's so cool though. That's what's up.
Yeah.
There's a popular type of streaming on Twitch where people just like stream from their phone and they like just walk around Tokyo. And they have another phone and they're like looking at chat. And like the chat's like, oh, go into this bar, go into this building, and they like walk in and like look around and do stuff. And it's like, I don't know if it's like sitting in their pocket or something, and they just like go around and do stuff, right? Farm, I think you should do that in your town in Tennessee.
You think so?
Honestly, like one of the things that always like kind of like blows my mind because I never think about it because I'm American, so why would I? Is just how much diversity of like biomes and like regions that we have here in the States. And then also how much we're used to like just traveling. Like somebody like I just saw the other day somebody was talking about how like in their country like traveling half an hour is like traveling a pretty decent ways for them. Like that's
Here
considered a trip. And like
here it is.
I remember
like half an hour is like a work commute, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, like that's
No,
nothing.
that's less than average. Most people are even like an hour and a half around here.
Yeah.
I remember Johnny actually talking about this a couple years back. Like, you know, they don't travel that much. Like for us, it's like a long travel is like, you know, for maybe 5 hours. But
Wild.
Like, then you get to the bigger ones, like 8-hour trip. That's kind of our normal, you know, trip.
Bro,
But
if it's
also,
like
like the States
30
is so
minutes
big,
driving
too.
here, if it's a 30-minute drive, there are times that we're like, it's too far. It's 30 minutes. It's too far. We're not going to go. Like, that's just, we're not up for it.
That's wild.
You know?
I can't get anywhere in less than 15 minutes driving here. Like, that's
So
just how this place is, like, organized. So,
Yeah, if it's a 30-minute
wild.
drive, it's like, do we want to do it? Do we want to? This friend who's coming to visit, I brought up to him that, oh, friends of ours own like a lake cabin. We could drive over there and maybe do that. It's kind of far though. And he's like, oh, well, how far is it? It's like a 4.5-hour drive. Far, bro. We're literally going to cross the country. We're on the east coast of Japan. We'll have to go to almost the west coast of Japan. You know,
Well,
it's-
like that was
yeah.
like when I went to Ireland, like that was kind of like that too, where like everything was about like 2 hours, like to travel across the entire like width of the country was 2 hours. Like that was kind of insane to me that you could make it to like all four corners in like a single day if you wanted. Like, yeah.
Yeah, that is kind of wild because when you think about whenever I've like driven or traveled around here, it's just like, man, are we ever going to get there? And it'll be night. And I remember going out to the western side of United States, and like we had a couple different people like driving, and it was like wintertime, and it was like, I think all in all like 30 hours, like we continuously went, but it was just like almost like a nightmare kind of trip. And Isabel said, we're never going to do that again. Because it was, and we haven't, but it was just like, it was freezing cold out, you know, and I had the worst crick in my neck after that because I had to get some sleep because of my shift. You know, I was going to do some driving, and I bent over and I slept in a weird position. And when I got up,
I hate that. I hate that so much.
Oh, I got a pinched nerve,
Man,
and it was
I'm
the
starting
worst
to get
ever.
like sore.
Yeah, I know it.
Yeah.
It hurts. It hurts. You can feel it. You can feel the vibes. But then I had to drive with that pinched neck, and this was a one of those vehicles that was older. It was like an Escape or something like that. And the drive, you know, the steering rod. You know, after a while, I don't know if you've driven them when they've gotten older, but like they start to lose a little bit, and they're like you're going left and right, trying to just fight with it. So I have this crick in my neck. I'm fighting with this vehicle, and it's freezing cold outside. Plus, I have all these people in the back trying to make sure to survive on this crazy trip. So it's not for the faint of heart.
Sir, I'll have you know that I had a 1990 Ford Taurus for like the longest time. Okay, until I wrecked that thing.
I remember that car.
I had it long enough that I could have put antique plates on it and almost did.
I loved that car. That was a sweet car. We drove over New Year to another island of Japan, to Kyushu, the southern island. There's a bridge. We drove to the other side of the country. It was only like 16 hours, which to an American, that's still long, but like you do it in a day, right? Like just drive it, right? Japanese people, when we would tell them we were driving it, they freaked out, bro. They were like, "You did what?" My favorite response in one day. Yeah, they thought that it would take us like 3 days, 4 days. And my favorite response to someone was that they were like, "That's the most American thing I've ever heard." I'm like, "Oh yeah, we drove. We
didn't even. Like, that's so American. We barely stopped for any breaks."
Yeah, we stopped for gas, and then we stopped for like one meal, and we just freaking drove it.
Don't you love those moments when you're like trying to get out and stretch, and you're like half dead, like trying to get up, trying to stretch your legs, and
it was pretty cool to get to see more of the country. But what David said is so true. Like, I mean, it doesn't have the same diversity that the United States does, right? They say that they have a desert here. Oh yeah, Japan has a desert. No, they don't. They have some dunes. They have a dune hill. They call it a desert. I'm like, get out of here. This is not a desert. This is a hill of sand, dude. We have one of these outside of Chicago. Like, come on.
Yeah. Did the dump truck leave the sand?
It's not a desert if you can see the end of it. Like, and it's very close. Like you're like, oh yeah, it ends right there. Then it's not a desert. Then it's just a lot of sand somewhere.
Yeah, and meanwhile we've got like actual mountain ranges, right? We've got like like pretty much every biome you can imagine. Like even maybe not jungle, but just about everything else. Like it's just wild. It's really crazy.
Oh, there's jungles out there, and believe me,
I mean, Hawaii is a part of the United States. Is there any jungle on Hawaii? I don't know. I'm not familiar.
I don't think technically, but
I thought it was more tropical-ish. Yeah,
I suppose.
I wouldn't necessarily call that jungle.
I think that our jungle is more like it's not really jungle. It's just more swamp. We've got high
swamp.
Humidity,
I would say is what I would.
Yeah. That's what we got. We got Louisiana.
Oh boy. Yeah, jeez. Well, on that note of Louisiana, is there anything you guys want to mention before we wrap up?
I did want to bring out Flintlock, the Siege of Dawn, game mentioned in the what do they call it? It's not the Game Awards. It's the game showcase by Xbox. It's actually announced to come out July 18th. So pretty soon release date for this.
Flintlock, the Siege of Dawn. What are you even talking about? Let me look at some pictures.
And the next Destiny
killer.
Looks
cool. It looks cool. Is it the next Destiny killer?
No, Flintlock is not. But the next Destiny killer, First Descendant, comes out on July 2nd, allegedly. We'll see.
Yeah.
Well, here's an interesting thing about Destiny killers, right? I think the only thing that looking back, the only thing that really killed Destiny was Destiny 2. Right. Yeah. And then the only thing that killed Destiny 2 was them nerfing my builds. Like you could say
not just yours, but everyone's.
So what we're saying is we've come full circle.
It would be funny if it was just mine. So I feel like I need to confess. I re-downloaded Destiny 2 and I've been playing it this week. Because I want to be a good friend to my friend David.
That's exactly what it is.
Hey, I got my yearly it was like a full history of like all my Destiny stuff, like for Destiny 2 at least, of like my most used weapon and everything. And my favorite fire team was you guys. So I thought that was cute. I was like, yeah, we need to get back to it.
I was just talking to David about doing the other dungeon. We need to.
We should do it. We should do it. I'm kind of back
into
into it. I'm kind of back into it because I'm gonna admit something. By them nerfing my ridiculous solar build that was basically invulnerable, it does give me reason to use another subclass. There was no reason to use any of the other subclasses ever, right? Like, I could do it for fun, but like if we were going to do something serious, I needed to be the solar build, right? Because like you want to have the unkillable Titan. Now, I mean, I guess I could play Void or Strand or Arc or what even is the other one? Stasis. Yeah, I could. I do have good builds. They just, and when I mean nerf, I should clarify that it was broken. I had a broken build. I could just stand there.
But you were
like,
totally
we would do
okay
these things.
with it, right?
I was totally okay with it. We would do duality, and like I would die twice, and you guys would have like 40 deaths, and I would have died twice. We never
it's
dropped.
So true.
We never dropped because
we were just actually doing things, right, David?
Yeah.
We were.
And then I would actually just walk up to where you guys were. Right? Just walk over there. And my favorite is like Farmer would be struggling fighting these things. And then like I would just like walk over and I've got like the Cabal dogs are basically like hanging on me as I walk over.
They're basically nipping at his ankles and everything. And he's just like,
oh yeah, let me get you. So like
no, but my build was so squishy that I just like I gotta jump, I gotta flex, I gotta gotta do all these finessing abilities and everything just to avoid you dying. And he's just like, what's up, bro?
Over there.
Oh, you having trouble?
Oh, yeah.
Here, let me help you with that.
Let me help you.
I love that the first time we did duality, just to piggyback off that Farmer dodging and everything, like Farmer was so under leveled that like literally anything could kill him.
That's pretty rough, dude.
Good times, guys. Yeah, good.
And so I understand that it needed to happen, but also why did it need to happen? Because I thought it was fine. Right? Like I thought it was fine. I had a lot of fun with it, right? It wasn't not fun.
But like in your defense, they didn't just nerf that build, which was ridiculous. They nerfed all the builds. They really did. They wanted to focus more on guns. And I get that from a design standpoint, but also like I really like Destiny for the abilities. Right. And
yeah,
so
there was some really cool
too.
like combination builds that you could come up with. That it's kind of a shame, but at the same time, I guess from a different angle, this gives you a chance to kind of stretch and become a different style of player than you were, Johnny. Especially you.
Boo! I don't even know how to get behind cover anymore. Like I'm like, wait, do I need to? I'm dying. Do I need to? Like, oh man, my health is red and it's not coming back. What do I do now?
Johnny's gonna be just out there dead and like, I don't know what this is. What's happening?
What happened?
To me?
Something happened. I don't know what happened. Yeah.
Yeah.
What?
And he'll have to say those words that nobody wants to. He'll never want to admit, but he'll have to say, "I need a revive."
Oh my god, yeah. But yeah, I feel I should come clean on the podcast. I'm halfway back in Destiny. I'm not going hard, but I am playing again and leveling up. On the flip side, you don't need legendary shards to get upgrade modules anymore. It's like one enhancement core to one upgrade module. It's actually cheaper now to upgrade your armor than it is to masterwork a weapon. If you think about that,
like masterworking
weapon takes a bunch.
To be fair,
yeah, but I feel like when I was gone, masterworking weapons was like nothing.
Yeah,
I would just masterwork. So who cares, right?
Yeah.
Because also, I haven't found a great place to buy enhancement cores, but you can get them pretty easily from like gunsmith bounties and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, this has turned into the escape pod. I think that's it, guys. We will see you all next week. Remember to give us a positive rating. Keep listening. Recommend this podcast to some friends if you would like to, or don't. Or you know what? Maybe tell them don't listen to this podcast because it's weird, and then maybe they'll listen to it.
Exactly.
Because I don't know about you guys, but for me personally, when people
Let's
recommend something to me, I'm always like, I'm never gonna listen to this. I'm never gonna watch this. So maybe that'll work, and I think that's it. So also, guys, don't forget to vote.
And don't confess crimes.
And don't confess to crimes. Anyway, bye.
get out of here, Craig.